Nasty. Greetings and salutations, viewers. I'm StarPrincessHLC, and this is the second review of the OVA series, Corpse Party Tortured Souls, based around the Corpse Party series by Team Grizz and Exceed. This is the second OVA in the series. There's apparently 4. I thought there was 5. There's in fact 4. So, same concept applies for my other ones. If you haven't played the games yourself or watched a let's play of them, or you don't want to be spoiled in any way to the games or the OVA, I would advise skipping this until you are ready. Also, I would suggest seeing my first episode of my reviews just to make sure you're all caught up with what's going on. There we go. That good. I'll also have a link in the description below for the actual OVAs where you can watch them in full with subtitles, since not everyone speaks Japanese, and you can enjoy them at your own leisure without me being silly and goofy in front of the camera, probably ruining the experience. Now, without further ado, let us begin. Okay, bye, creepy man. Okay, first of all, right off the bat, it's really hard to keep up, entirely with this OVA. This one, it was all over the place. That right off the bat, keeping track of what was going on in the storyline was incredibly difficult. I had to write down, all the events of what happened in order, because it was jumping around all over the place. It was trying to take, different pieces of, chapters 2 through 4 in the game, and just kind of taking small snippets of important information, and then just kind of, messing it up a few places, but also just kind of rushing through them. The pacing in this one was absolutely terrible, especially considering they were jumping all over the place, and you really couldn't get a sense of what was going on in the story. Famous last words, I'm sure. Well, first of all, it started out automatically very bloody and gory. There was hardly any blood or gore in the first OVA, but this one they upped the ante quite a bit, considering the very first shot you see of this OVA is Ryu, the little ghost boy, stabbing a guy violently to death, while Yuki, the one-eyed girl that was also in the game, she was busy also horribly killing people. You get right off the bat, you get to see the blood and gore of these two ghost children who have been turned evil by their horrible past, and are just murdering people left and right and causing so much problems. Well, we definitely are hyping up on the blood and gore this time. And then, strangely enough, it cuts to actually, like with the opening of Chapter 2, it cuts to Naomi mourning Seiko in the bathroom. You don't get the scene with them in gym class talking about having babies and such, but you do see that, followed strangely enough by Naho coming in and basically mocking her, saying, you're the only person left in this whole area until you die. Thanks, Naho. And it strangely even cuts to another thing I didn't expect, where we actually cut to Morishige, trying to open doors and trying to figure out where he is in conjecture to the layout of Heavenly Host. He's wandering around, and Naho just randomly shows up and talks to him, hey, yeah, you're probably going to die. That kind of talk. Very, very matter-of-fact with Naho. Always matter-of-fact with her, but it was very odd considering that didn't happen in the original Corpse Party. I mean, Morishige we didn't see much of in the original Corpse Party anyway. We just had small snippets of him, and then the one extra chapter where he talks to Kazami, but that was about it. And this was kind of a weird little thing, having Naho just come up to him and say, yeah, you're probably gonna die kind of behavior, and him just being I'm looking for Mayu, I don't care what you say. Whoa. Oh, hi, Morishige. You're early. Didn't expect to see you here. Hi, Naho. What are you doing here? And then it gets even more weird, considering it cuts right to, after that, it cuts to Satoshi and Yuka hiding out in the classroom. There's no ghost there to tell them what's going on. It's just Satoshi reading the newspaper article of the kids' murders, out loud, by the way, with Yuka clinging to him like, "What's going to happen, Oni-chan?" Followed, of course, right afterwards with, "I gotta pee." Because poor Yuka can never seem to have any control of her bladder in any of these scenarios. She's constantly tortured by her own bladder. Poor girl. Do you have to pee?
Yuka.
Yes, of course. Poor Yuka. Pee in the freaking corner! But yeah, that's where it came up into that. It was the section with, after that scene, it went right into Satoshi and Yuka looking for a bathroom, and then stumbling across Morishige, who was taking pictures of Mayu's corpse. I see you're back to doing the photography creepiness again. And the weird thing about that one is, it was rushed, for one. It was very rushed. Like, Yuka didn't respond at all to what was happening, even though in the game she purposely had to run away because she was so frightened. And Satoshi, he was just like, "Ugh, that's gross," when he was like absolutely mortified when he saw it in the game. So it's a weird little turn of events where it's like something that should be rather scary and rather upsetting to the characters. They're acting just a little bit disgusted. They're not acting like this is something horrible, like, "Oh my god, somebody was horribly murdered in a gruesome fashion against this wall." They don't even know that it's Mayu, but it's like, you guys should be more, expressive towards that. Yuka doesn't seem very bothered by this. Actually, none of you seem very bothered by this. And then it gets even more confusing, because then, right after the scene with Satoshi talking to Morishige, you get cut to Ayumi and Yoshiki, with Ayumi, freaking out over the clock that we've been seeing in the first chapter. We haven't seen this clock at all in the game, but it's very prevalent in this particular OVA. Ayumi's looking at it and, having her breakdown, and Yoshiki's like, "Calm down, calm down." Miss Yui is not even actually with them in this scenario. Like, there was no even indication that she was with Ayumi and Yoshiki at all during any of this. It just cuts to Ayumi freaking out in the hallway, Yoshiki trying to calm her down. And then the little boy ghost Ryu comes in and decides to attack them, like he did in the game. But it's even more strange considering Ryu can talk. Like, that I thought was kind of odd, considering later on we actually do get to a point where Yoshiki and Ayumi find his tongue and appease him. But he was like almost talking kind of normally when he was attacking Ayumi and Yoshiki. He had maybe a little bit of a lisp, but not much. But he shouldn't have been able to talk very well at all because his tongue was gone. So that kind of threw me off too. But it was very creepy to watch, especially when he was like calling them big brother and big sister, saying like, "Who's gonna die first?" It was very creepy, I'll give you that. But it did kind of feel a little rushed. It felt like the pacing was a little off in that scene as well. You didn't call them big and little sister in the past. You didn't talk at all in the other one because you had no tongue. And then, not long after Yoshiki and Ayumi escape from Ryu, which actually, strangely enough, they helped get away from him by Naho, strangely enough. Naho actually, got them away from the little boy Ryu, and, does her little spiel of, if you appease all the children and get the murderer to confess for her sins, then you will be able to get out of here. She's way more a matter of fact in this, isn't she? But then again, you wouldn't have much personality after dying, would you? Very matter-of-factly, for some reason teleports them into the reference room, which we see her at the end of chapter 5, you know, right before she goes all booga booga, I killed my senpai thing going on. But strangely enough, it pretty much, I think, nails Naho's character fairly well, that, you know, she's very matter-of-fact. She's all like, I don't care what you guys are doing. I just want to find Kabiki. Yeah, she's very matter-of-fact. She's very to the point. So they got her character, like, right down to the wire. But, you know, the fact that she saved Ayumi and Yoshiki from Ryu kind of threw me off a little. And then she hands them the penitent spirit doll. Like, you don't go searching around for the head and the body to put back together. She actually just outright gives them the doll, which I thought was kind of weird, too. Oh, it's that stupid-ass doll again. Can we burn it, please? And also, right after Ayumi and Yoshiki get the doll, we actually cut to Miss Yui reading the newspaper that Satoshi was reading, the one about the children's murders. And she's the one who actually finds Mayu in the infirmary and witnesses her untimely death at the hands of Tokiko and Yuki. By the way, they really made Tokiko look incredibly creepy in this OVA. Like, I mean, it should be creepy to begin with. I mean, her entire half of her head is gone. It was taken off, you know, in her murder. So, you know, you just see, like, the outline. You don't even see, like, a face or anything. There's just this bulbous blue glow here. And then you just see, like, her teeth and everything. Like, everything around from the bottom half of her skull you can see openly, and it looks absolutely creepy. Way creepier than in the game, where it's like, oh, wow, you guys really put some detail on the fact that she has, you know, her entire top half of her head missing. Wait, are you Dutch Angle? Hello, Dutch Angle. Hi, kids. Oh, wow, that's creepy. But it was still kind of weird, considering it was Miss Yui and not Yoshiki and Ayumi who witnessed Mayu's death, and then Miss Yui actually gets captured by Yoshikazu at the end, which I thought was kind of weird too. Well, at least in the other one you didn't know any of your... Hi, Yoshikazu, that was random. Yeah, it was still a horrible scene to witness, especially as you see Yuki and Tokiko dragging Mayu through the hallway. Like, her face is getting ripped apart on the side as she's being dragged along the floor straight into the wall. Like, it was a horrible, brutal scene. It kind of made sense that that scene would be a lot faster paced, considering the fact that it was, you know, they were just throwing her at superhuman speed and everything. That I could understand with the pacing there, but, like, the pacing with, like, a lot of the other stuff, it seems very, very rushed. Oh, jeez. Well, I see her death hasn't changed much on the fact that somebody else witnessed it. And then, interesting enough, they cut right after Mayu's death scene and Yui's capture, right into Morishige looking at his phone, looking for Mayu, and then she calls him and is like, don't look at my insides. And then he basically has his nervous breakdown because it's like, oh, this pile of goo that I've been fetishizing over this whole time is actually the girl that I have a major crush on. Whoops. Yeah, you haven't changed much. Yeah, I'm sane while looking at dead bodies. I'm sane. That grin tells you everything. And then, strangely enough, they cut right back into the stuff with Satoshi and Yuka, but they change it quite a bit, where actually Sachiko shows up and actually leads them into the second wing of the part of the school, where in the original game it was where Yuka first met Kabiki and all that stuff when they got separated. But for some reason, Sachiko just showed up while they were looking for a bathroom, and she was like, follow me, you know, being the calm, collected ghost that she appears for the majority of the game, but until the very end. But, you know, she's essentially playing like this timid little girl, which she did in the game, yes. But it was kind of weird, where it just kind of showed up out of nowhere, where she just shows up out of nowhere, and it's like, Well, I know she was following them around, keeping an eye on them, but she never openly, like, talked to them or led them. Well, she led them a few times, but it was never this direct. It was kind of almost out of character. And the fact that Satoshi and Yuka just quickly, you know, were like, oh, she seems like a nice ghost, let's follow her. Don't talk to her. Don't talk to her. What are you doing? Don't do it. And it's especially weird when they do the scene where Yuka's gonna climb over the wall near the forest to go pee. They didn't even get into the building yet, and she was like, well, maybe I could try going in the forest. And Satoshi's like, okay, I'll go wait for you out here. And they even asked Sachiko to stay and keep watch for Yuka. Exactly, you'll get lost and you'll never come out. No! 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 Stupid! Stupid, stupid, stupid! But obviously that didn't happen because for some reason Sachiko disappeared. I guess she locked the door behind Satoshi and captured him. And then Yuka got attacked by Yuki, who was looking for her eye, like in the game. So it's a constant back and forth of what the heck is going on here, and, you know, touching on certain aspects of the game without going into major detail. Well, hi. By the way, where did the other one go? I don't have it! And then after the scene where Yuka gets attacked by Yuki and Satoshi gets separated, it strangely cuts back to Yoshiki and Ayumi, who are carrying around this doll who is like quietly, you know, crying like it does in the game. And they end up accidentally, like literally accidentally, finding Ryu's tongue. Like it was literally that Yoshiki was leaning against a wall and it crumbled and the bag just happened to be behind the wall. It's not like in the other one where it's like 20 paces rooster whatever the thing is. It was kind of weird. I mean, I guess they were just trying to hurry that part along because let's face it, that part did kind of slow things down in the game. But then right afterwards they appeased Ryu by giving him his tongue. There was a bit of a struggle first off, but they did eventually give it to him. But strangely enough, they had it where Ryu turned back into his human self, like how he was before he was brutally murdered by Sachiko. And it seemed like he was actually like being taken up into heaven. Like there was a bright ethereal light and he flew up into the ceiling, and it was like that didn't happen in the game. Like, he can't get appeased. That was the whole point of it. It's like, yeah, you could give him back his voice and you could repent, you know, help the murderer repent for their sins. But in the end, the only one who could have been saved through that whole thing was Sachiko. The other three kids, they were forced to stay in Heavenly Host. And it seemed kind of weird that they would just suddenly turn it around where the kids were being whisked away to heaven. It was a nice little thing, but that was not the point of the story. The story was that, you know, even if these kids were horribly murdered and horribly treated in this fashion, even though that they were given their voices back and repented from their murderer, they could not be truly saved. So that kind of took away a little bit from the message of the storyline, that sometimes you don't get a happy ending in these stories. So that irked me a little bit, but it was sweet, but also it kind of destroyed a little bit of the message of the game. There he goes, off to heaven. Bye-bye! That's not supposed to happen either! And then it was even weirder because then we started watching Yoshiki and Ayumi wandering around. And they said like they appeased the other two ghosts, and we never saw that. So it was kind of rushing through important things. I mean, granted, in the game, getting the other two tongues was a lot more difficult, like the fact that Tokiko's you had to get out of the swimming pool, and Yuki's was buried under Mayu's remains, and lest we forget, Yoshiki and Ayumi watched Mayu's death originally, so they couldn't get it, and they ended up getting it from Morishige, who was just playing around with the body parts. I don't know what the heck is up with that man, but it seemed very weird and very rushed, the fact that they skipped over 2 parts. I can understand part of it, but at the same time, it's like, oh, we just have to appease Sachiko now. It's like, where did this come from? We didn't even see that. We just saw the one kid. It just seems kind of silly that they would do that. Oh, look! He turned back to normal! He's a real boy! But the last scene in this OVA, this one was absolutely the weirdest one that changed the bulk of what happened in the game. So, Yuka somehow managed to get away from Yuki. We never saw how. We never saw any indication that she did, but she somehow did. She ended up in the school, I believe. No, they did address it somewhat. She managed to run into the second wing of the school and was looking for her brother and couldn't find him. And then she was wandering about looking for him, and then all of a sudden you hear a whacking noise. And Yuka turns the corner, and you're not gonna believe it, but it's Morishige. He is whacking the hell out of a corpse with, I think, a crowbar of some kind. His brain basically went snapped like a twig. He didn't jump out the window in this scenario. In this case, he just decided to run around and beat up corpses, possibly even killing people, I'm not sure. But then he sees that Yuka's all alone, and he's like, wait, I'll help you find him, you know, like in the original game. And Yuka's like, no. But in this case, he's actually of some bit of danger. Like, he seems to be purposely going around and saying, like, hey, wait, don't you want to be in my cell phone too? Basically saying that he wants to kill her and take pictures of her dead body. I liked it better when he jumped out the window. So, he basically goes full insanity mode on Yuka, and she has to run away from him, and she's, like, hiding in cracks of the broken down school. Like, she's like, no, big Oni-chan, help me. And you're not gonna believe it, but you're not gonna believe how she's found out. Strangely enough, Kizami finds her. He just shows up, you know, looking at her down this hole, and it's like, are you looking for your big brother? I'm looking for my little sister. You know, being very charming and nice like he was in the game. But it was, like, very weird on how the two of them ran into each other there. Well, this is a weird-ass turn of events. And then she's walking around with him, and then Morishige shows up, and he's all like, Yuka, you gotta be in my cell phone, kind of behavior. It's like, you wanna join Mayu? You know, she's being very creepy, and she hides behind Kizami, like, you know, save me, keep him away from me. And the strangest thing, like, all of a sudden, Kizami just pulls out his knife and just, boom, stabs Morishige in the neck, killing him instantly as you see the blood spurting out of his neck. Like, whoa, that definitely wasn't in the main game. Ooh, a battle of the ages! Oh! Battle of the ages ended really quickly. And very bloody. And then it cuts to, you know, Kizami being covered in Morishige's blood, looking at Yuka like, it's okay, your Oni-chan will protect you, you know, going on that whole thing of pretending she's his little sister. But it was very weird. All of a sudden, like, that didn't happen in the game. It was very bizarre, and it kind of threw me for a loop, especially considering how quickly the blood was draining from Morishige's face as it was draining out of his neck. But, whoa, that was quite an ending to an OVA. Well, that took a dark turn quick. Oh, who am I kidding? It always takes a dark turn. But yeah, the whole thing, it was like all over the place. Like, if I hadn't written it down, and watched it a second time, I probably would have been even more confused. And especially if I didn't play the game, I would have been even more confused because they were skipping a lot of information. They were trying to condense like almost three chapters worth of a game into this small little OVA, and it just came out as a bit of a jumbled mess, on top of changing things that seemed kind of out of place. Like, I get they were trying to probably give Miss Yui more to do, considering she didn't do much in the game. Like, all she did was get squished by that cabinet, and then she showed up at the end to save Ayumi from falling, but that was about it. So I guess they were trying to give her a bit more depth and, you know, give her more to do in the OVA, but it seemed kind of pointless at that point, considering there were key elements of the storyline that were changed with just that one little thing. Like, you know, finding the tongues, for example. We didn't even see any of that. We just ended up skipping over that completely, which I think if they had kept it the same in the storyline where Ayumi and Yoshiki saw Mayu's death and saw the blood splatter and knew that the tongue was under there, I think it would have been a bit more impactful, but because they were trying to give Miss Yui more to do in that little scene, it kind of jumbled everything out to the point where they were just cutting things out and, you know, changing things to weird ways. You know, it was a very confusing and very jumbled episode. I mean, it still looked good. The voice acting was still really good. The blood and gore, you know, it was definitely creepy to watch, especially with how they designed Tokiko's head. Like, that was just like, ugh. But, you know, pacing-wise, it was so-so. For certain aspects, I could see the pacing being a lot faster, like the fights with Ryu and Yuki and such. But at the same time, some of the big elements of these scenes I feel could have been slowed down a little bit more to increase tension. But otherwise, I think they did an okay job. It was probably the big thing I could complain about this is that if you really didn't know the game as well as probably I do and others, if you haven't played the game, you would probably be very confused on what was going on in this OVA, because it's constantly bouncing around all over the place. The tension is mixed on various situations, and especially considering they change things that were very crucial to the plot of the game. I didn't expect them to be like exactly the same, obviously, but considering how strict they were with the first OVA, this is kind of a bit of a disjointed effort, I feel. It's still pretty good. I'll still say, you know, check it out. But just go into it knowing that it's gonna be a little bit harder to follow than the previous episode. That there's gonna be a lot of changes to the storyline that doesn't always quite make a lot of sense. Kind of take it as its own separate entity more than actually a continuation of the Corpse Party series, you know, an alternate universe, as you would, I guess, say. But otherwise, it was really cool. Like, the action was really good, the animation was good, the voice acting was good. You know, the fact that they were bringing other characters like Naho and Kazami into it, the blood and gore was, you know, quite a spectacle at times. I'd still say it was a fairly good episode, but just, again, keep in mind that it's probably a lot harder to follow than in the previous OVA, so kind of just take that with a grain of salt, and I think you would enjoy this just as much as the other one. So that's my take on it. If there's anything I missed, please let me know in the comments below. Check it out for yourself. I have the link in the description. Check out the game for yourself. Either play it or watch a Let's Play like mine. And, you know, hopefully you enjoy this strange and interesting little story based around a lot of blood and gore. But for now, this is StarPrincessHLC saying thank you very much for watching, and have a fond farewell. We will continue this in OVA number 3. I wonder what's going to happen in this one. Oh boy.